Shada, please, can you make Akin Tomiwa Akinmoneyi a co-host? Is our speaker, and then the DVC Professor will do, and everybody will want to be able to unmute themselves. Thank you. Right. So, good morning, everyone. This is to welcome us once again to another Friday of impactful sessions on the University Research Training and organized by the Central Office of Research, the Postgraduate College, and the Postgraduate Student Association. And today promises to be exciting. We see that people are trying to come in, and so we'll just give about 2 minutes for them to be able to sign in properly, and then we can start. Today we have an industry expert and a global leader, and that is in the person of Mr. Akin Monei, who will be speaking to us today on a very important topic that is central to one of the things we're trying to achieve in this program. And so, please, Mr. Shadari, could you make sure that the whiteboard is not activated for participants? All right, thank you. So that's nobody will be scribbling on the screen. So today, we already have in the house the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research, Innovation and Development, Professor Akini Kinyemi, and then we have the Director University Research Office, who is coordinating this program directly at the Central Office of Research, as in the person of Professor Babajide Odu. Also, we hope eventually we would have the provost of the postgraduate college coming, I guess he'll come in at some point, who is coordinating this also from the postgraduate college of Obafemi University, Ile-Ife. I want to welcome all of us once again to another Friday, where, as the DVC will call it, we get our 2 cubes of sugar and a cup of coffee on research and impact. And so it's now 8:03. I see the number is increasing, but to not waste our time, let me invite Professor Babajide Odu to welcome all of us. And then after that, I will invite the speaker to start. So, Professor Odu,
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you, Dimeji. I welcome you this morning, everyone, to this Friday morning coffee, as we used to call it. So I want to welcome you and then thank you for attending promptly. Those of us who are able to log in promptly. Oh, smile for what?
You are on, sir. We can hear you.
I'm on. I can't see myself. I can't see this something again. Oh, okay. Okay, I can see it now. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So this morning we are going to have Mr. Akinmoneyi presenting to us, and I believe that it's going to be something that's going to be interesting. Wonderful presentation from him. I just want to quickly introduce him a little bit. Maybe let me just do that a little bit, and then maybe the Deputy Vice Chancellor Research Innovation Development, my boss, can introduce him better later. So he has a book here that he has written, and it's titled Execution is a Lie. Execution is a Lie. And then at the back of the book says Akinmoneyi is a transformation leader and strategist who has delivered over $1 billion in performance gain through transformation programs at Shell. You can see he's a staff of Shell, so he works with Shell. So it's something that's quite interesting. So this morning we have somebody who, you know, has worked with Shell who's going to present to us. And then the title of his presentation this morning is Research Without Results: Why Good Research Gets Ignored in the Real World. And I believe we are in for a good time this morning. And I want to welcome you all to this presentation this morning by Mr. Akimone. Thank you. Dimeji, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So, thank you for that introduction. So, I think for our time, to make sure we do not we have enough time to interact at the end of the session. I think we would want to invite him, but before I do that, I want to acknowledge that we have here the Director, Linkages and Partnerships Office. That's Professor Neil Uguamati. Thank you for joining. So, Mr. Moneyi, sir, I think be happy to have you now. So you can share your screen, you can turn on your videos, and then the floor is yours. Yes.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Good day, everyone. And I'm very happy. I'm very excited to be here with you. And thank you very much, the organizers. Thank you, profs, Professor Akiemi. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Professor Odu. Thank you, Dr. Ladimeji. Everybody that has put this together, very, very great program, and I'm very excited. And as I was, speaking to the prof yesterday, to the Deputy Vice Chancellor yesterday, as I was preparing, for these, because I usually talk to executive education, folks, maybe executive MBAs or companies that are having some trainings with universities, executive education, and so this is a new area for me, as it were. But as I was preparing for this conversation, the importance and criticality of this topic, became very, very clear to me, and I hope that within the next 50 minutes or thereabouts that I have, I'll be able to pass to you some key things that I've taken away from my research, from my preparation for this conversation. So I'm going to go a little bit quite slow at the beginning, and at the end, I'm going to just move very quickly to the end, because the end, there are a few infographics there, a few things that you can look at, read and understand, on your own. But initially, I'm going to take it, on a very interesting journey. So we're looking at why, good research, why does it get ignored even in the real world? When I say real world, I mean in the marketplace. And when I say marketplace, I mean in organizations, in governments, in businesses, with policymakers and all that, because we have a lot of good things, going on here, and it needs to be communicated, and that is the essence of this session. Just checking. Can you all hear me clearly, and can you see my screen?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Okay,
Very perfect.
excellent,
You can put it in
excellent.
slide format, sir. In slideshow. Thank you.
Sorry?
You can put your slides in slideshow so that it fills the screen. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Okay, this is good, right?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yes, very good.
Okay. So I'm going to start with some, what I call some uncomfortable truth. So every year, papers are published, theses are defended, journals are filled, conferences are held. Yet many problems that we see, they're still, they're still there. They're not moving. They're like the OAU rock that I saw as I was driving in. There before OAU, there existing OAU, and continue to be there as long as OAU exists. There are many problems that organizations face, and they're willing to pay millions of dollars for if we can find solutions. Organizations are struggling in Nigeria. They're struggling with talent retention. We know of the Japa syndrome. A lot of people are leaving the country. And I'm sure there's research. There's been some work, some study done on that, by some researchers. A couple of weeks ago, the CEO of MoneyPoint was talking about having 500 vacancies, available jobs for the past 1 year, and it's been unable to fill. And I believe that there'll be a few research, that will potentially address that. When I was coming here on my way from Lagos, I was speaking to my colleagues in the car, and we're talking about the service mentality that we have in Nigeria. So there was a time I was living in the Middle East, and we had housemates. We were there for maybe about 10 years. So we had different types. We had from different nationalities. We have some from Kenya, some from Uganda, some from the Philippines, some from Sri Lanka, and all of them, every single one of them was committed to the work. They did the work professionally. They were so happy doing the work. But what we see in Nigeria, most people say, "Oh, I'm just managing here. Oh, I'm just helping you." So they don't see there's no dignity. I won't say there's no dignity. There's a gap there. Dignity in labor. You see somebody who you've employed, who you're paying, and who they believe is doing you a favor. You see, that is a problem, and I'm sure that there's some research that have been, developed around those areas. And I know that there's somewhere in the university, somewhere inside the journals, somewhere in some dissertations, somewhere in some conference proceedings, somewhere in some spiral bound projects on the shelves. There are probably ideas that can change how organizations think and how organizations react and how organizations make decisions. But the knowledge alone that we have doesn't influence the real world. Research must become visible. Research must become understandable. Research must become transferable. Research must become usable. Otherwise, important ideas that we discover academically will not land in the real world. So academically, there'll be successful, ideas, but practically, it will be invincible. You see, what am I talking about? The real world does not reward, rigor. No, it does not reward the fact that the research is very good, very solid. What it rewards is the relevance. What it rewards is the timing, is accessibility. And the question, is it helping me make a decision? So a study can be methodologically rigorous. It can be statistically valid. It can be theoretically elegant, but still change absolutely nothing. And it's a sad truth. It's a brutal filter. Executives and business leaders, they ignore what they cannot connect value to. So many important ideas that we have do not die during peer review or during panel sessions, but they die in invincibility. When they are invincible, then they die. And this is my honest view. This is my view, and I think it's something. It's a conclusion that I've arrived at. The most important challenge facing research today is not brilliance or intelligence. It is adaptation. That's what I believe the biggest gap is. And I want to talk about, something which I said, which I've titled The Familiar Story. The familiar story, we know about it quite well. Very good research. We've burnt the midnight candle. We worked very hard. We maybe researchers can spend maybe 2 years, 3 years, or even more, working on a problem, on a very, very important problem. And as it were, paying so much money, doing questionnaire, doing market survey, working, like I said, sleepless nights, good stuff coming out, but usually ending up on the shelf. Usually the people that require this knowledge, not even aware that the solution exists. And I'm sure everyone on this call, or everyone that is familiar with research, knows that this is a recurring challenge that we have. So there's something I call the research to reality gap. You see, most researchers are trained extensively on how to conduct the research, how to analyze data, how to defend methodology, and how to write academically. But very few are trained on how research actually enters the real world. That's a fact. Many academic systems naturally reward publication, citations, conference visibility, journal output, promotion metrics. And less attention is given to what really moves this in the real world: adoption, translation, operational usability, decision influence. So researchers often become highly skilled at producing high quality knowledge, but they're not trained on how to make this knowledge travel. Because between a strong insight, right, there's something that needs to translate it to outcomes. And that's the big gap, that we're discussing today. So you can see from this visual that we have on the screen that research alone does not automatically create attention. Attention does not automatically create decisions, and decisions does not automatically create action. Let me say that again. Research does not automatically create attention. Attention does not automatically create decisions. Decisions does not automatically create action. A study can sit inside a journal for years without ever reaching a CEO, a hospital administrator, a policymaker, an operations manager, a founder, a frontline supervisor, not because the work lacks intelligence, but because insight and influence are not the same thing. Many researchers assume once my finding is strong, adoption will follow naturally. But the reality, it doesn't work that way, because leaders are very busy. Executives are overwhelmed. Boards are, they're stretched thin already. Decision makers are distracted. Operators are under pressure. So the honest truth is that most people are not searching for research. No, They're not. They're searching for solutions. They're searching for clarity. They're searching for speed. They're searching for risk reduction. They're searching for a stable operating environment, and that changes everything. So if you look at this visual that you have on the screen, you can see why the breakdown happens from insight to attention. You can see that. And then from attention to decision. Because if research never captures attention, never feels relevant, never becomes usable, then it never crosses into action. I want that to land. Most research does not fail at the research stage. They fail at the translation stage. So being correct is not enough. Being rigorous is not enough. Being thorough is not enough. Research must become visible, must become usable, must become decision relevant. Otherwise, it may succeed academically, yes, while entering operational reality, it may struggle. Academically, you may even get an A, excellent grade. You can even get maybe departmental recognition. You can even get an award. You can even get published. They can send it to some great journals and they publish it. You can even get cited by other researchers. They can even cite it. In fact, you can even win awards. You can even win prizes. But in real life, it doesn't move the needle. And all the work we're doing is not just for awards. Yeah, awards are good, don't get me wrong. Citations are good, don't get me wrong. But the real impact is when your thinking impacts organizations. They think about your framework or your conclusion or your solutions before they act. That is the real real move. So it takes me to the next point. Why does good research get ignored? Why does great research get ignored? If research is good, why does the real world still ignore it? Why? In my experience, it usually comes down to three things. Number one, nobody needs it. Now, that is very harsh, and I know, and I'm intentionally harsh and direct. Some research answers questions that are academically interesting, but operationally unimportant. So, for example, a retail company struggling with declining customer retention, struggling with rising delivery complaints, struggling with poor repeat purchase, may not need a study that talks about a comparative theoretical analysis of postmodern consumer identity formation across emerging demographic clusters. Come on. A manufacturing manager who is struggling with production delays, who is struggling with equipment downtime, who is struggling with rising operational waste, rising operational costs, will likely not prioritize a solid research that is titled An Exploratory Conceptual Framework for Adaptive Organizational Symbolism in Industrial Environments. No, you are not going to get his attention. A founder, an SME guy, somebody who is just starting up, who is under cash flow pressure, who is facing employee turnover challenge, who is having inconsistent execution, may not wake up asking for a phenomenological investigation into entrepreneurial self-perception under evolving socio-economic construct. Now, none of these topics are necessarily unintelligent, and I think they are even great topics. In fact, for you to come up with such topics, you have to take some great intelligence, to write about that. But you see, in the real world, urgency drives attention. A manager struggling with staff turnover, declining sales, customer complaints, execution delays, is not going to ask, what theoretical gap do I need to close today? No, they are asking, what solves my problem? What reduces my risk? What improves my outcomes? What distinction do I need to make in my business? And you see, that small tweak matters enormously, even outside. So research gains faster attention when it attaches itself to urgency, when it attaches itself to pain, when it attaches itself to pressure and to consequences, because urgency creates demand. Now, the second reason why nobody looks at your research, or a research that is good but is not being used, is that nobody understands it. Now, this is uncomfortable in this room because we're academia here, and me saying that nobody understands your hard work, but that is the fact. A lot of our research work, it sounds very sophisticated academically, but operationally it's not clear. Decision makers, they want clarity. They rarely use academic language. A CEO does not speak like a journal article. An operations manager does not think like a literature review format. A founder under pressure is not searching for conceptual density. Is not searching for theoretical elegance. Is not searching for methodological vocabulary. They are searching for clarity. They're searching for implications. They are searching for trade-offs. They're searching for decisions. They're searching for action. Now, let me show you, how this happens. A researcher may say, there exists some statistically significant inverse relationship between employee affective disengagement and organizational productivity outcomes. But what the business leader needs to know is that, what am I going to do tomorrow? So you need to take a step back and make sure that what you're doing is understandable. Most times, research is very strong, but the communication creates the distance. And brilliant ideas often die behind unnecessary complexity. The third point there is that nobody can use it. Nobody can use it. Some of those researches, academically, they're excellent. Operationally, you find out that the company may even may lack funding. There may be some technical capability gap. There may be some change management capacity. So the recommendation that requires all those things collapses immediately. You can say, redesign organizational structure and culture to promote innovation-driven collaboration. It sounds impressive, but who owns it? So my point here is that a recommendation is not useful simply because it is correct. It becomes useful when people can realistically act on it. Let me say that again, in case you're writing. A recommendation is not useful simply because it is correct. It becomes useful when people can realistically act on it. And that's a very different standard. And this is why important ideas often struggle outside academia, not because the research lacks intelligence. I'm saying that and I'm emphasizing that, but because nobody urgently needs it, nobody clearly understands it, or nobody can realistically use it. Research becomes influential when people can connect it to action quickly. And I think you need to have that at the back of your mind. So the next question that comes is, how do you make your research harder to ignore? Now, the fact that, I think I've mentioned it, the fact that your research is rigorous does not mean it is usable. It is the uncomfortable reality which I need to, present to you. I didn't come all the way from Lagos, to have, nice talk with you and not tell you the truth. Many of us researchers, or many researchers, assume that, it has to be rigorous. And once it is rigorous, adoption follows naturally. In practice, it's not the same thing. A study can be statistically valid, theoretically grounded, methodologically rigorous, and still struggle to influence anything outside the four walls of OAU. If you look at the left, you can see academic rigor matters enormously. I'm not discounting it, because without rigor, research becomes weak, conclusions become unreliable, credibility goes out of the window. So this is not an argument against rigor. But rigor alone does not create usability, does not create adaptability, does not create implementation, pathways, does not create influence, even in the business world. Looking at the right, you can see unclear application, disconnected from operational constraints, difficult to translate. Those are the outcome of, things that are research that is operationally weak. So for example, a study may produce a highly sophisticated finding on organizational transformation, on digital adoption, on leadership alignment, on workforce optimization. But the CEO reading it is asking, what can I implement from Monday? And this is where many important ideas die quietly. This is where they lose momentum, not because they're not intelligent, not because they're weak, but because reality demands another layer beyond correctness. Reality asks, can people understand this quickly? Can organizations act on this realistically? Can this survive operational pressure? And can this improve actual decisions? I was speaking to Professor Akinyemi, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, yesterday, and he asked, and so what? And I think that's just the summary of my talk. So you need to ask yourself, and so what? So you've done this research, and so what? So you have to ask, what is the and so what of your research? I'm going to get to that shortly as well. The real world does not reward research because it is rigorous. And that's the truth. The real world rewards research that is understandable, usable, actionable, relevant, and is translatable into decisions. The real world rewards usable insights. And perhaps that leads to one of the most important questions researchers should increasingly ask themselves. What does this research actually improve? So here a few questions, I try to make it, as applicable as possible. What does it impact? What does it impact? So these are one of the most important questions, I believe, in applied research. Your research will explicitly answer at least one of them. Is it hiring decision, pricing, staffing? Your research should clearly link to something that is usable, because decision makers don't adopt research because it is intellectually impressive. They adopt it when they believe it's going to reduce uncertainty, it's going to improve judgment, it's going to avoid mistakes, it's going to allocate resources better, it's going to solve expensive problems, it's going to hit their bottom line. That is the only reason they adopt. So you see you reading research is subconsciously thinking, what exactly should I do differently because of this? An operations manager is thinking, what do I change on Monday because of this? A founder is asking, what risk does this reduce? A policymaker is asking, what outcome improves if we act on this? And if the answer is difficult to identify in your research, then the research will remain untapped and trapped in academic speculations in the four walls of OAU, at best in journals, at best, with other academics citing it, not because it lacks quality, but because the decision link, which I showed earlier, 2 slides away, is weak. How many theses clearly states this is the decision we're trying to improve? Not the topic, this is the decision we're trying to improve. So very quickly, I said I'm going to rush through the last part. I've said improving the chances of your research to be impactful in the marketplace is as easy as ABC. Don't take my word for it. It's not as easy as ABC. There's no silver bullet really to make it adoptable, to make it accepted and used. But this is going to increase the chances, significantly if you do this ABC. And there's no framework that can guarantee adoption. There's no framework that can guarantee implementation. There's no framework that can guarantee policy influence or organizational change, but these 5 things. So I said ABC, but I'm going to go A, B, C, D, E. These 5 things, if you apply them, they're going to improve the probability that the research survives beyond OAU, survives beyond journals, survives beyond citations and quotes from academia. So A is anchor. So I said ABC. So A is for anchor. Anchor on a real problem. You need to ask yourself, what problem am I solving? It has to be very clear, and not the problem that you created. A real problem, a problem that is real, because you're not going to use your research. A problem that is real to those that are going to use it. I was speaking to the deputy vice chancellor yesterday, Professor Akiemi, and he mentioned some great ideas, some things he's going to be doing, even to connect practice, with academia. And I think it's fantastic. And it's when you do such a thing, you begin to start your research from a real problem, a problem that needs a solution, not the one you think in your head. B, the B for it is to begin with the decision. So you have to ask yourself, what decision improves because of my research? So if your research is facing government, what decision in government will improve because of this research? If it is for maybe NGOs or for corporate organization, you need to ask yourself, what question, not what gap exists in literature. So if you go with what gaps exist in literature and try to fill the gap, then you're wrong. You need to say what frustration exists in reality, what keeps organizations, what keeps them awake at night, what inefficiency is repeating. I'm telling you about the Japa syndrome. Japa syndrome is ravaging our organization. We don't have talent. What are we going to do about it? What decision keeps failing? So you need to begin with the decision that you want to address. Number three, C, you need to communicate beyond academia. Now, this is deeply important, because brilliant ideas often fail for a surprisingly simple reason, because nobody understands them quickly enough. So you are trained to write academically, but operators think operationally. Those are not always the same language. So you need to change your language and make sure that there's clarity, implications are clear, trade-offs are clear, actions are clear, consequences are clear. A 200-page thesis may contain brilliant insights, may contain useful findings, may contain important implications. But if nobody can extract the practical meaning quickly, then the insight is trapped. We go very quickly to D, design for reality. This is where many excellent recommendations collapse. There's a real world out there. There's a real world. When I say real world, there's budget limits. Well, I was speaking to Dr. Oladimeji, so I can see yesterday was saying that you guys, there's a budget cut on universities. So you guys know that it's real. Budget cuts are real. Organizations face this every time. There's budget constraint. There's politics in organization. There are competing priorities. Boards need to decide, how do we allocate capital? There's behavioral resistance. There are exhausted teams, operational pressure. So that means that your recommendation must survive these constraints, must survive the constraints, the incentives, the imperfect behavior, and the organizational flexibility. The last E, we need to engage beyond publication. And like I said, I think OU is doing a fantastic job on that. I'm quite impressed. Even Prof talked about trying to get professors of practice, which is very good. Executive in residence, very good. Mentors, very good. So you need to engage. It is not when you now have a solution, you're not looking for who is going to use it. But by engaging, you can co-create. You can co-create. That will bring bridges, partnership, pathways to using your research. So it's a very strategic thing. And I see the buildings that are being built there, very, very impressive. And I plan to say this, but it's happening here in OAU. A university where researchers regularly engage industry before research begins. Organizations openly sharing their problems with OAU. Postgraduate students spend time inside real operating environments, not just in classrooms. Executives participate in research translation sessions. Classrooms become live problem-solving laboratories. Research findings are converted into executive briefings, not only, spiral-bound cases. No. So imagine a university known not just for publishing excellence, not just for publishing knowledge excellence, but also for translating the knowledge, for operationalizing insight, for solving visible problems, for influencing decisions in real institutions. That will be transformational, and that is the journey that I see this school on. Globally, some organizations, some of the strongest universities I've seen, they create bridges through executive education, industry immersion, practitioner-led seminars, applied research partnerships, translational research centers, visiting industry fellows, live organizational case collaboration, because knowledge travels faster when academia and practice interact continuously, not occasionally. So publication creates visibility inside academia, but engagement creates visibility outside academia. And I believe in the next 10 years, universities that do that very well, they will be the ones that will be the leading all the path. Ultimately, the goal is not only to produce excellent research, is to help excellent research travel further. So I look forward to the International Center for Development, which is being built, and the word center. I saw the pictures of the word center, quite impressive. So I'm just going to rush through very quickly. This is research that gets used. These are the 6 tests: visibility test, uncertainty test, decision test, operational test, behavioral test, and implementation test. This is research that can be used. I put in 5 points there. Research has to be decision aware, operationally grounded, behavior sensitive, realistically implementable, and clearly communicated. Well, in the university environment, and I'm sure we're very smart. We've picked all what I've seen, or what I mean by all these things I'm saying, moving very, very fast. So I'm moving now from impact to knowledge, and this is the ladder, for you to go from knowledge to impact. So most schools operate at the base. They publish knowledge, they churn up knowledge, but you need to take it to relevance. And by relevance, the knowledge has to be solving a problem, a real problem, in the real world. Then the next step is usability. It has to be not just solving a problem, but it has to be sensitive to the real world and being portable to the real world. Then once it's portable, then it can easily be adopted. Then once it's adopted, then you can start having influence. Your school can start having influence. And of course, the results, coming after that. My final thoughts, I know there may be 1 or 2 questions. I want to leave you with this, that research, good work, the great work you're doing, for the professors or that are writing papers and researching, for PhD holders, for even postgraduate students as well that are researching. Your research becomes powerful only and only when the marketplace can use it. Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for the invitation. I really do appreciate it. I would like to take questions if there are. Now, while we're taking questions, I will appreciate your feedback from my QR code on the screen. So take up your phone and just take a picture, and let's get the feedback on the session.
Thank you very much, sir. This has been really, really practical and exciting to listen to. We thank you for all the nuggets you shared during the session, and we want to say that you have pricked our heart, pricked our mind again, and we're interested, in driving researchable and usable research, basically. So, without wasting time, I'd like to ask if there are any questions. If you have questions, you can use the raise hand icon, and then you'll be invited to ask your question. So, while we wait for questions, because the time is also, we're also looking at the time. I would like to get feedback from a few people who are on the call today. So let me invite first the head department of sociology, and that is in the person of Professor Joe Akumbiade. So I'd like you to unmute, please. Let him unmute so that he can. I'd like you to unmute and let's get your reaction on the session. So after that, I would invite Mr. Demile. That's for his reaction.
Hello, Dimeji. I actually joined just a few, about 2 minutes ago, so I missed the presentation as a whole. Please, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, correct. Thank you, sir. Okay. So, so for those who joined a bit late, this is also live streamed on YouTube. We have people who also joined these on YouTube, and so you can easily watch it at on the Central Office of Research YouTube page after this session. Let me invite Mr. Gbenga Adewale for his reaction. After that, I'll invite Mr. Professor Warranty.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dimeji. And I want to say thank you so much to our presenter, Mr. Akintomiwa, to such an insightful session. And I took particularly that our research should not just look at the gap in the literature, but the decision that it can influence in real life. And for me, that's my own take home from today's session. So I want to say thank you for that insight and thank you for what you have shared with us today. We trust that we will put it in action as we engage in our research activities. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Dimeji.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ademile. Thank you, sir. Before I invite Professor Warranty, I would like to invite Professor Christiana Elushino for your comments or reaction. Please make her a co-host so that she can unmute. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and good morning to our presenter. I actually came in about 10 minutes to the end, but I was still able to get certain things, certain insights into the lecture. So I just want to, there are a lot of issues, as he has said. It's not that straightforward. It's not that straightforward. The practice has always been research and you publish and all that. There is a shift now to actually letting our research impact our community, impact the society. So I think we just need that reorientation, every one of us. We just need to change the way we do research, the way we plan our research, the way we organize our work. So that's one take home for me. So it's a whole lot, to actually reorientate ourselves. And I think it has to start with individual of us, and then it will translate to the university and eventually to the community. So I want to say thank you to you once again, sir. And I hope to go back to the YouTube channel to actually go through the entire presentation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Mark, for your reaction. Let me invite Professor Nero Wanotsi for his reaction. So, Professor.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Monet. I think I got the name. The lecture was insightful. I listened to the whole thing. I was impressed by the visibility gap and the translation gap. And having attended a few of TED Fund training on bringing research to the marketplace, what you presented might be something that have been driven to us by TED Fund a few times. We can't just have research that stays on the shelf. We can't just have research that are not impactful with good results. Very interesting outcome, but nothing actionable, as it were. And I think you've brought the industry perspective to us in a very vivid manner, which is very, very nice. What the question that you said, and so what? I mean, is key. You have done all this, and so what? What is the impact? What is it going to affect when research does not affect anything? As you said, it has no value, or its values are limited. So rigor does not imply usable. The fact that you have spent months, weeks, and years on this does not make that the research is usable. But the angle that I want to come in and add to the presentation here is the fact that sometimes the need of the industry and the time that the researchers have to provide the result becomes sometimes a mismatch. The researcher wants result, the industry wants results now. The researcher will still have to think of the process to get to that point. And by that time, just like you said, the industry will not wait. They are not going to wait for the academic to do all their rigorous research methodology to bring the thing to the market. I'm in the engineering space, and it takes quite a while before we can go from research to production. And that is also a problem or a challenge, because from all the examples you gave, it's more of in the social science space. But when it comes to the engineering environment, the time gap between the research and the market is also bigger, because the product must be safe. And same thing with those in the health space. They must do a lot of tests to be sure that what they are doing will meet the market. So sometimes the industry needs faster results than the university can supply because of the limitations of the university. And we need to change. And I love the fact that this is coming now. And I was looking at the number of people on the call. It's more or less like a greater number of the university community needs to hear this. This is the message that we have to get to the management, and we change our orientation in terms of how we look at results, research, and how we look at even the promotion criteria. Because we should start incorporating the value that the industry adopt from our research to how we reward the researcher. So it's not just you publish and then you get the 5 point or the 4 point, but who is adopting your research? What value is it creating? We have patents that is 10 marks, but there's a different conversation that needs to be had, just like Prof said earlier. But in all, I got the ABCDE. And every time I'm going to be teaching my students about research, the ABCDE is going to come handy. Thank you very much for the presentation. It is really thought-provoking, and it is not a conversation that will end here, but something that will start further conversation. And the fact that the DVC research is already on it shows that we are moving in the right direction, and results will become obvious in the years to come. And this presentation will have sparked something in that direction. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, sir. We have just 2 minutes left, but we have just a couple of questions in the chat. Let me quickly read them, and then I will invite Mr. Money to see how quickly he can respond to them. And then, but before then, please, you can use the QR code on the screen to provide your feedback. Please do not forget to do that. Yes, so in an attempt to research simple and accessible, to make research simple and accessible for adaptability, how do we preserve the academic nuances such that it remains a research, not just a mere write-up? And then how do we manage the university expectations on faculty's publication requirements for promotion in the light of this discussion? So these are the 2 questions, sir. I don't know, in the next 1 minute, if you can just quickly provide a feedback. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
thank you very much. I can see the question from Damilare. So Damilare, thank you very much for your question. So the first one, I'm not in any way advocating a wishy-washy research. You know, I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying that rigor is very important, but you need to connect it to what's happening in the world. Because if it is not rigorous, then it becomes suspicious. It becomes unreliable. It becomes a fraud because you can't base some intellectual work, without on some faulty foundation. Then it all just crumbles when it meets with reality. My point is that you need to have the end in mind as you are developing a solution or working on a research. And like Prof said yesterday, and so what? So when you're doing your robust, solid work, just be thinking, and so what? And so what? How will this affect? Let me speak the way we speak. How will this affect the price of bread? How will this affect the price of fish in the markets? How does it impact the bottom line? So that is the thinking, not to do something poor quality work. No. Then the second one, how do we manage how do we manage the university expectations on faculties, publications, requirement for promotion in the light of this discussion? So that is still going on okay. What I said is that we should not just focus on internal circulation. We should not just focus on publishing, getting awards, getting citations, getting recognition, that's it. Being published, win a prize, that's it. But I'm saying that cannot be it. That should not be it. The world, just outside OAU, there are companies struggling that you have the solutions to their problem. And the solutions have probably even been done, they've been documented years ago, and they're somewhere on the shelf. So my advocacy is we need to connect that. We need to connect what has been done or what is being done to the real world so that we are better off with all this good work that's been done in the four walls of OAU. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your response, and then for this session. We are indeed grateful, and at least from the feedback we could hear. We've also checked. We're also trying to check YouTube to see if there's any question on YouTube, but none. But then we can continue to engage with Mr. Money. You can find him easily on LinkedIn, and then you can also scan this QR code to provide your feedback. We are already 2 minutes over the time. I want to just invite Professor Babajide Odu to help close the session. Very quickly, Professor Odu, sir.
Thank you, Dimeji. I want to thank Mr. Akintomiwa Money for this presentation. There are so many, takeaways from this presentation this morning, and then it's something that I believe will be an ongoing discussion with the university community. We'll keep on engaging with you, just like Dimeji has said. We will not leave you alone, because you have given us, sort of giving us some, pinching this morning, just to pinch us, come back to, reality and see the way things are. I want to thank Professor Oluwaranti for the contribution that he has made. These are things that maybe in another way that TETFund has been telling us to do, so that there can be a national development, the growth of the nation can be, can be done through the university community in Nigeria, and then will become industrialized like the developed countries. So you have given us, quite a number of things to take away this morning. And one of them that I see that is very, very important is that research becomes powerful when the marketplace can use it. So it's only become powerful when the marketplace can use it. So it doesn't remove the rigor, it doesn't remove the spendings that we do on research, but it will only be, justified if the marketplace can use it. So all our spending, all our rigors can only be justified once the marketplace can find it find our research and use it. So thank you so much. Thanks so much. I don't know if the DVC Research Innovation and Development want to say something. Mr. Akinmoneyi, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. The DVC Research is already engaged, so that's why he's not able to speak at the moment. But I want to say thank you to the speaker, and on his behalf and on behalf of the Provost Postgraduate College and the President of the Postgraduate Student Association, we say thank you very much, sir, for sharing with us from your wealth of knowledge and experience. And I want to thank everybody who has waited till now, and to apologize for the time. You agree with me that it is really, impactful, and it is not without justification. So we say thank you for being here. I want to say thank you to everyone. Please remember this session continues every Friday at 8 a.m. The same link, the same time. And then, of course, for those who are on YouTube, the same time would always be here. Thank you, and see you next week, Friday. All right. Bye, everyone.